You've got 10 minutes for one book and one big idea. I'm Adina Williams, I'm a Labour MP, and I'm talking to Todd Atticus, a former professional book buyer and artist, about perfection. Hey, John. Thanks for being with me.
Good.
I'm keen to talk about this amazing book, Perfection. I know we have slightly different takes on it, so I am very keen to get into it. But this is a book for anyone who hasn't read it. It's about people who can live anywhere and belong nowhere. It's also, for me, a real sense of being uprooted from ordinary life. Anne and Tom, they're this couple, they're mobile, they're cultured, they're into aesthetics and nice things in life, but nothing seems to matter to them. What do you think? What do you think this book is about?
I mean, apart from what you've just said, I think it's about alienation.
Yeah, cool.
Um, I think I think that's just the heart of it. It's like ostensibly it's just a story of this couple who have moved from Italy to live in Berlin and discover like kind of fulfill their wishes in life in the way that they want to construct a life around them. Um, but actually it's much deeper than that. It's about what I guess what drives them
Yeah.
and what what means that they're constantly having to seek
Mm.
something that they can't achieve. So it's ambition, but it's also kind of misplacing, or at least I felt this was like misplacing your own needs and desires,
Yeah.
and then having to live through that while still continually trying to seek.
While still seeking and that sense that it doesn't have, which I didn't find that was any kind of yearning, any like knowing what you want and going after that.
Yeah.
As a lifelong yearner, I had also just finished Wuthering Heights when I read this book, which is just page after page
What a combo.
yearning for place, but also yearning for person. And this had none of that, right? There's no sort of romantic love between them that we get at any point, and there's no romanticizing the place that they're in or the place that they come from. There's this kind of this connection to their old life because they kind of think they should have one, and a bit of like searching around on the internet about good places they could go next.
Is it the anti-Wuthering Heights?
It is the anti-Wuthering Heights, but not something maybe that you like if you didn't enjoy Emerald Fennell's
No, quite.
take, because it is also, kind of about the same group of people that movie is made for. Like, this is written as if it is an anthropological study
Yeah.
of globalist millennials. Yeah, like, this book reads to me, it reminded me of, like, early New Zealand ethnographies, people like Harris Beattie, who wrote about Mai Tupuna, and they were like from the outside writing about Maori in the late 1800s. This was like writing about the small social class of European or white traveling millennials who have grown up with technology and made it their own without really belonging anywhere.
No, I think you is spot on. And in fact, like even the way it's written is kind of like a bit of a remove. Like I think like the book's called Perfection, and one of the things I noticed about it, which like when I told other people that have read it, they were just like, "Are you insane? You've noticed these things?" Possibly, yes, but like
Only an artist.
it's yeah, quite. But it's like yeah, and it's an aesthetic thing. So we're alienated because each part is told in a different tense,
Yeah.
like perfect tense, past tense, etc., etc. I think they're labeled like perfect and past, but like that also kind of like to me, the author's setting it up as a fable, like not just a fable, but like yeah, like a study of these people. These people are anybody in a way that like are fulfilling this kind of role of being lost in this kind of contemporary space. Of being like kind of like blown by the winds of technology and political change and maybe even the yearning or lack of yearning.
Almost like you would observe these people
Like it was absolutely
on an Instagram.
exactly, but you're like it's very much arm's length. It's just like you said, it's anthropological. It's just like we're looking at them over here, so we're not in their heads, but like we're outside of them.
And so this is my favorite thing about us both enjoying this book because I really liked them. So I gave them this really positive gloss in my mind because these people, they didn't remind me of me. They reminded me of people I love. Like you. You have had a similar experience with that of living overseas, but also, one of my favorite people in the world is my mum-in-law, and she's a designer. Her husband is also a designer, and they live, in overseas cities. they're not millennials, but they have also lived this like very technological and art driven life.
Yeah.
And that, sense of not having a place which is important to them. They're now in New Zealand and they live a very different lifestyle from that. But I looked at that when they were doing that and I thought, cool, like that is a dream that is something to aspire to. It's not me, but I love it.
But you love it for them.
Mm.
And that's hilarious because like, okay, I won't go as far as say I hated them, but like, I was like, for me, it's a stinging critique. Like for me, like it's damning because it's kind of essentially saying, and like it's just because it's too close to me. It's just like, wow, I feel so seen and therefore criticized by this book.
Fair enough.
But like the idea of going, like uprooting yourself from one culture and going somewhere else, like, I mean, like, is as old as the hills, like in many ways, there's human migration. That is, but that's not what they're doing. They're trying to live an idealized life, which is like based on their own values and their own kind of sense of what makes for a good life, like somewhere else, and trying to kind of perform that or like commit to that without engaging with the world that they're living in. So like they're in Berlin, they're not, they're not engaging in, they're not interested in being there for many of the other reasons that you would be, community and people. Though those kind of featuring the kind of fringes of this book, it's more like the aesthetic. They're driven there because they like the architecture and they like the design sensibilities and they like the furniture and the food, etc., etc. Which
it's just fun take on migration.
Yeah.
In this current political climate where around the world you're seeing, immigration being used as a political football, and it's a real way to stigmatize and demonize a group within society when economically governments can't deliver for working people, so they're picking a scapegoat. This is a book about migration without immigration, without any kind of assimilation or wanting to be a part of it.
Yeah, and the door is always open for them to go home. It's almost like, in fact, I think that's what stung so much, is that they are resisting that so much because part of their move overseas, and then you see it later in the book when they realize that they're not living this life that they want to, and so they try somewhere else. It's all about trying to escape something back home for them, which is totally fine, of course. Like that's the thing. It's just like it's not a criticism of Anna and Tom. It's a criticism in a way of the mentality of that tech nomad. You can be anywhere, and you don't have to commit. You don't have to engage with the culture in which you find yourself in, which I think is interesting.
It is interesting, and it made me think about this idea that I've been really fascinated with about, it's a kind of new left idea. Herbert Marcuse talks about like surplus needs, about, if we live in these highly industrialized capitalist societies where you're being sold things that you need, whether it's based on the aesthetics, whether it's based on the trends and latest fashion, how do you actually then work out what you actually need? Yeah. And I'm interested in that from an artist's perspective, because you're not making things that people best filling them. You're not making the cut. No, you're making the beautiful stuff.
I'm not making things all function.
But there is a need. So how do people work out where beauty comes into this like human need and this connection, which this book is about?
Yeah.
And it's not critical of art, but it did make me think about, how a generation of millennials have been constantly fed beauty down our eyeballs 24/7. And we haven't cultivated a sense of personal style and personal taste in a way that in generations in the past might have.
I think Anna and Tom in this book would possibly argue that they had. It's just that it's, Scandi 2.0 rather than, like
it's where you need to
cross movement or something. But no, I think beauty as consumerist product has always been around to some shape and form. And I think art, it doesn't fulfill, like you rightly say, like a yearning need. You can't feed your family with a painting. But it does fulfill something spiritual.
Yeah.
Wherever you might, posit that in your own life and being. But also like cultural. Like it's like, I wouldn't say necessarily like the word that I make would be culturally relevant to all people. It might actually only kind of spark something in a few people, but it's that kind of cultural conversation and that kind of discussion of ideas, even if those are just aesthetic or very kind of conceptual, which I think is integral to like all societies
Yeah.
in all times.
Yeah.
I think that's why I still make work in the 21st century, even though there's a myriad of other ways that you can kind of, have these conversations and
But it's that.
mediums, etc.
I guess that's what the book there is missing. Is that they're making things, but they don't have something to say.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
You
yeah.
have something.
No, and that's yes, or at least the thread of something to say. I always think of it that way. It's like I don't ever stand back from a work that I've made and think, I've said my piece.
What is the lesson?
Now what is the lesson? I've said my piece and go to bed now. It's just the next step is like, how long is a piece of string? It's just the next chapter in in trying to discover the thing I want to say, whilst also trying to hone that thing at the same time. But yeah, like these guys in Perfection, they're not, and they're quite open about it. They know how transient the things they're working on are, and design, sometimes it's timeless, and sometimes it's actually just very driven by the moment. I've been a designer as well in the past, and it's always kind of, it's like fashion. It moves quickly and in waves, and something you're designing now in 10 years' time will look passé, or it will look incredibly dated. I think when I'm making my own artwork, I'm lifted out of that kind of need to try to kind of constantly scrabble around for something that's of the moment, which is what draws me to to making artwork.
That's cool. Okay, we are at the end of our time. I'm going to ask you what you're reading. The book that I'm just at the end of is a guy called Richard Berkman. He's writing about moral ambition and moral courage, which made me really, that was where I wanted to go after reading this, because he's writing about purpose. He's writing about people who go out of their way to stand up for something, and whether it's standing up against unfairness or whether it's finding a passion and advocating for that. He's writing about all the qualities that make those people similar and how you become more like that. And that was what I guess these characters for me didn't have, that sense that they could make a difference, because this is also a book about making a political choice as a person with privilege to not use that for your community.
Yeah.
To go to work and do your 9 to 5 and then travel for your life. And some people, I love that book, but it wasn't ever going to be that.
No. And I think that's exactly why I felt like it was a singing critique, was because I would also not want that. But like, I don't know, it's just one version of life, isn't it? And I guess that's the thing about reading as well. It's like, it's just like a window or an insight into one particular way of living that you can either really accept and adopt, or reject, or somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah.
What am I reading? I read Perfection a while back, so it's not like I'm not like bouncing from that onto something else. But apart from the manuscript of the novel, I'm designing a book cover for next week, which I cannot talk about. The Valley by Asher Emanuel, who's a lawyer here in Te Whaiganui Tara, and he's a writer now. He's written this incredible account. He's spent about 8 years researching and attending court cases in the Lower Hutt, and has written this incredible book about the 3 lives, two people who are caught up in the criminal justice system and 1 lawyer. And it's honestly, it's like a psychodrama between all 3. And he's kind of looked in directly under the lid of what makes these people tick, and the realities of their lives, and really kind of exposes injustice very directly in a way that I think is incredibly powerful, because it's so personal. Like, it reads like a novel because he's spent so much time with these people.
Yeah.
And has captured, well, quite literally, by recording and detailing their voices and the things they say. And it's just,
I cannot wait to read that.
May.
Asher in the chair.